flippity flop.
What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another video. I finally finished my do-it-yourself Sega Dreamcast video. Now, I had built this machine back in June. It took me, I would say, I don't know, a couple of weeks to build it. You know, using all my free time, about 40, 50 hours total of my time. But it was so freaking worth it. I finally built the arcade machine of my dreams. Like after assembling 9 arcade 1-ups, I figured, I got so used to building these arcade 1-ups that I wanted to see if I can, build my own machine. Based on what I've learned from, stapling, friggin' screwing these little plywood panels together. I'm a big fan of arcade 1-up. Although I do, I talk a lot of crap about the brand, but I really enjoy the arcade machines. And the game room is a place where I come down here in the basement every night, man, and I enjoy a good hour or so of gaming. Anyway, I wanted to make a machine that would feature a lot of the games that I know that, arcade 1-up is not going to have, or may never have, anytime soon, like games like Street Fighter Alpha 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, House of Dead 2, NFL Blitz 2001, Power Stone 2, there's so many games that, arcade-style games that came out with, like Soul Calibur, Virtual Fighter. There's so many games that I know arcade 1-up is probably never going to get around to building machines for, and I wanted to build my own machine that would have it all built in together, and I wanted to make it simple and easy. It was so simple to just take your Sega Dreamcast and build a machine, right? Build an arcade machine right out of it. So I'm going to take you through the steps. I'll show you my journey on how I built my Sega Dreamcast arcade machine, complete with arcade sticks. It has 2 light guns and a fishing reel. Yeah, man, let's go. All right, so it all starts with a dream, right? A vision. So after daydreaming of this idea for several weeks, even months, I've thought about this idea. I decided to just draw it down on paper what I wanted to do. The Sega Dreamcast is probably my favorite system of all time. It came out like right my late teens, early 20s. It was just an evolutionary console. And I felt like it was the first console that actually bridged the gap, from that you no longer needed arcade machines to go to the arcades anymore. The Sega Dreamcast was officially it, man. You can play arcade games, perfectly ported arcade hits from modern day hits, so nonetheless, at home. So I wound up using scrap wood that I had left over from when I renovated my basement years ago. So I really didn't have to pay much for the wood at all. I didn't pay for this. Is all leftover wood. These little wood panels here, I think they're like standard 9-foot sheets. I've had these sitting here for years, man. I'm gonna use these beams for like the skeleton of my arcade. This is gonna support all the weight, like the structural integrity of my machine will be built using these beams. Now, since this is used wood, I had to reverse drill these screws out of here. So it was a little while to prep the wood and get it ready for sanding and for putting the pieces together, cutting. Here we go, man. I'm cutting my pieces based on my illustration that I showed you a couple of minutes ago, and making it all happen. What I thought, in my head, and then drew it down on paper, making it happen, man. So I'm starting off with building the base and the frame of the machine using these beams, and after I made my cuts, the right size screw to screw them all together, not too bad, man. I would say, even if you had to buy all your wood, your plywood, your beams, even if you don't even have any of these tools, like a drill, you'll need a sander, and you'll need a level, you'll need some screws, You'll need some spray paint. You'll need your circular saw. If you add up the cost of all these materials, even if you have like if you have the console, not counting the console, and say you have a CRT, even if you don't, I bet if you add up all the materials that I used to build this machine, it probably still would be well under $700. Like $600-700 is like the cost of your average brand new arcade one up that just is just released. They're coming out like $600-700. An arcade unit for the new ones. You could probably get it. Build this all under $1,000 easily. I'm talking about having to buy your own used monitor, your own console, some games. And with the Dreamcast, the library, the discs are very expensive. So to get around that, I already have a library of about 20-something Dreamcast games. I don't know exactly. Most of the games I already have. But there was a bunch of other games that I wanted to include. Now that I'd built this Dreamcast arcade machine, I wanted some other games as well. So what I did was I went on to Etsy, and they have vendors that will like literally burn you any Dreamcast game you want for like $5 a disc. And I was able to fill in a void of like I got about 1,000. I got about 100 Dreamcast games that I always wanted to play, or games that I knew were good, never got around to buying because right now they're really expensive used. Sega Dreamcast, like I said earlier, Sega Dreamcast holds its value. The games hold its value. It's a top of the line used console. So I was able to I have about 100 or so games to play that I can shuffle in and out of this arcade machine, and we'll get more into the details of the playable games and everything else with the machine in part 2 of this episode. This was just like my introductory episode. As you can see here, I'm sanding down some of the pieces here. Very important. You spend a lot of hours sanding everything down so it's smooth to the touch. And you're going to spend some money on spray paint. You're averaging about $5 a can. So I probably needed about 5 or 6 cans. And I got that little, you can see that little gun attachment that clips on top of a spray can. It gives you a more even spray, and it's easier on your fingers, for prolonged painting. So here we go, man. I used matte black. Like I didn't want it like a shiny coat. I just wanted a flat black. And after sanding it, the paint holds up pretty well. The finished product, my 2 side panels right there. And I also I wanted to make the arcade like a 2-tone, black and white. So I took a little something that I learned from the arcade 1-up legacy cabinets that are 2-toned, and kind of like implemented that idea into my own machine. And I also created a front door. I turned my kick plate into a hinged door, and we'll get into that next episode. So there you have it, my friends. Let me show you a little preview of what this little baby looks like, and stay tuned for the next episode, part 2. We're going to get more into my Sega Dreamcast do-it-yourself machine. I hope you like it. Hope you liked it, and I hope you find it interesting, and maybe I inspire you, to do something like this yourself. I'll talk to you soon on the next one. Peace.